Hello and Hafaday, everybody. Jason Salas alongside Gina and Liz from Remax Diamond Realty Guam. We are in Upper Tumon today. As you know, as you watch this program every week, we've been talking to our friends from Pacific American Title about escrow. And ladies, we are actually in their office today, and we're going to find out all the wonderful services they provide.
That's correct.
That's right.
All right, we're going to set up in the boardroom and show you what you need to know and how Pacific American Title can help you.
So Sarah, last week we talked about title insurance and the importance of title insurance when you purchase a piece of property. Can you explain?
Title insurance is a type of title insurance policy that we as the escrow company and title insurance company issue. We have two types of policies. We have a lender's policy and an owner's policy. For the lender's policy, that is a requirement that a borrower purchases at the time of the transaction, and that's if the borrower is securing a mortgage on the property that they're purchasing. Whereas the owner's title insurance policy is for the protection of the buyer, because then he or she or they become the owner of the property. So an owner's policy is optional, but it is highly recommended that the buyer purchases an owner's policy at the time of closing. That will give them title insurance protection throughout the whole time that he or she owns the property. So for the duration that they own the property, the title insurance will give them title insurance coverage should any defects or problems come up on the property after they've purchased it, and that title insurance defect or the defects happen prior to their ownership of the property.
I see. So I know we hope that nothing would happen during the
that's correct.
The ownership and that there are no issues. What have you experienced? What sort of things have happened based on your experience that that protected an owner while they had title insurance?
Okay, if an owner or a buyer purchases title insurance policy at the time they close, a lot of times we see after closing takes place that the buyer or the borrowers coming to us and having us look into some property taxes, real estate taxes that have not been paid. Because, you know, when they go to revenue and tax and show that they are the legal owner of the property, or if they go and sometimes apply for a business license or whatnot, and they have to do research on the property that's in question, sometimes there's cases where revenue tax is showing the owner that there's still property taxes not paid. So as a result, what the buyers do is they come to our office and they have us look into it. Now, title insurance policy covers real estate taxes that are not yet due and payable. And if we only show that the current year property taxes are the only one that is not yet due and payable, and there's other taxes that are showing as outstanding prior to the year that they acquired the property, we do our search, and if those taxes are not paid for, then you know that's what is covered under the title insurance policy.
So the title insurance will cover that for them?
That's correct. That's one of the things that a title insurance policy will cover.
Would the title insurance cover if someone comes up and says, hey, the previous owner owed me some money and we attached a lien to the property? Would the title insurance cover that?
If that instrument was recorded at land management and we did not pick it up, and you know the transfer takes place, then that could be covered under the title insurance policy as well.
Okay. How about mortgages? What if a mortgage was recorded, but somehow during the title research, the mortgage never showed up, or a promissory note on that property never showed up?
If it was all recorded at land management and in our research we missed it and the title insurance policy was issued without clearing those items through the transaction and it's not listed as an exception on the title insurance policy, then the title insurance policy will cover that.
What other instances have you found where things have cropped up and the title insurance was critical to resolving the issue?
One of the things that people can look at is if there was a missed mortgage. So if we did research at land management, handled the closing, and we missed a mortgage that was recorded at land management, title is transferred to the new buyer, proceeds are dispersed, and that particular mortgage was not cleared at the time the closing takes place, and that's something that the title insurance policy also covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about boundary disputes or issues of that nature?
If it is not of record, we're not able to report it. So situations where there's problems with boundary markers will not be covered under the policy.
So we talked about title insurance based on a bank loan. So if someone was getting a bank, the bank requires that there's one for the lender and that there's one for the owner. It's
Yes,
optional.
which is optional, yes.
Now, if they're purchasing property with cash, do you recommend that they get title insurance?
We always recommend that a title insurance policy is purchased at closing. Now, at the table, if the buyer purchaser decides not to purchase a policy, then that's when we remove it from our charges and stuff. But title insurance policy is very important. It gives the individual a peace of mind. And then it's also a one-time payment. So if you as the buyer purchases property today, next year you don't have to buy that title insurance policy again because it's a one-time payment. It is collected at the time closing takes place, and it is good throughout the whole time you own the property.
Okay, that's very good. So going back to the escrow process, Pacific American Title normally does research to check the chain of ownership for properties.
That's correct.
So if someone decided they were purchasing a piece of property using cash, we highly recommend that they do research prior to closing a transaction, because sometimes we have people that go out there and, hey, Mr. Cruz, I want to buy your property, and they make a deal, and between themselves they make the deal.
Yes.
And then later they find out there are issues.
Correct.
We always tell our clients and customers, make sure title research is important.
Is done, yes. So what we do, I mean, if you're somebody that's not dealing with a real estate company, and you want to know what is on this property, feel free to stop by our office or give us a call. We will be able to provide a title report. And that title report will, like I said earlier, will still show who the current owner is, the property that's in question, and what liens and encumbrances affect that subject property.
Yeah, because we've seen it happen where a client has come to us and said, hey, I've been paying monthly payments on this property, only to find out that they didn't own the property.
It could be maybe a relative that owned it, and maybe, although they're the ones paying, unless you have that the deed, the document that indicates the property was transferred to you, then yes, you are the legal owner. But we won't know that until we actually do a research to indicate.
And the other thing we want to point out is sometimes you're buying property, you don't realize that the person selling it, that there may be so many liens on the property where there's mortgages and taxes.
That's correct.
That probably surpass the
Even
selling price.
Or maybe there's encumbrances, liens that are on the property prior to that individual owning the property. So, that is why it's very important for someone that's interested in purchasing a property to request for a title report so they know what is showing, what is this property about, who owns this property. So, if you're the seller, you think you own it, that may be the case, but we need to make sure that nothing else appears on the property other than what is existing or what the seller is aware of that's on the property.
I think you and I had that situation once where there were 5 owners, and by the time our 5th buyer was ready to buy it, there was an issue. Luckily, we were able to resolve that and go through the chain and get the signatures required in order
Yes.
to have a free and clear title.
Yeah. And you know, it helps if the party, the person that we require signature is still around. But
If not,
it gets a little bit
complicated.
challenging and complicated. Yes.
Well, thank you. If you have any questions, please call Sara at Pacific American Title, and she'd be able to assist you, or call Liz and Gina, and we'll get the proper information you need. Thank you.
Thank you.